Of course, we all remember last week when Mark Kelly, Slotkin, the whole gang of people went up there and they made their nicely edited video saying, military, defy your orders if you think they are unlawful. And of course, we know that they didn't seem to put a lot of specificity into what these unlawful orders may or may not be.
Well, here's what's interesting is that all of these members of Congress put this video together last week, made a lot of news, and then all got invited to do Sunday shows. We have clips from all of them. And none of them gave a consistent answer with the other. They all had a different talking point, which is bizarre because they contradicted themselves. But the one who was kind of the ringleader of this, it was Senator Alyssa Slotkin from Michigan. She was on ABC this week with Martha Raddatz. They are going to friendly media and getting asked questions that should be a softball question if they had thought ahead about the outcome of this. And listen to the answer from the senator from Michigan to Martha Raddatz's question about, has President Trump issued any illegal orders? Bite 2.
Let's talk right now. Do you believe President Trump has issued any illegal orders?
To my knowledge, I am not aware of things that are illegal, but certainly there are some legal gymnastics that are going on with these Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela.
Legal gymnastics. She was a CIA analyst. That is the Department of Legal Gymnastics within the United States. And she's sitting here saying it was of such dire need that we put this ad out to let people know the law, that they don't have to follow legal orders. They gave away the game. It shows that it was politically motivated to undermine the President of the United States authorities, Commander-in-Chief.
And one of those things when you look at it, too, specifically this cause, saying, well, maybe it's the Caribbean strikes and everything related to Venezuela. We're talking about stopping drug trafficking coming into the country. You're not even talking about things like, I don't know, the National Guard being called up to Memphis or Chicago, where at least there's maybe some gray area there.
There's not. Really. There's not. I mean, if you look at how the law is set up, if you follow the law to the T, you might not like the policy.
I disagree with it. That's more what I meant.
Policy. Yeah. And you can change laws, but what you can't do is say that they're illegal when they're not. So when she had the opportunity to go through and list, what are all these illegal actions the president's done? Right. She didn't even try to go to National Guard, Logan, because she's too smart to go there because she knows she can't. So she had to say, no, there haven't been any. And then she came up in her head, well, maybe something with Venezuela. But, she obviously hadn't done a research on that to even use that as a focal point.
This is a follow-up by Martha Raddatz. Once again, I don't think anyone watching this show is a fan of Martha Raddatz or ABC this week, especially with some of the performances she's given at presidential debates, things of that nature. Not necessarily the most unbiased or neutral member of the press, but she's asking what seemed to be pretty easy questions for someone that had this entire campaign rollout. And this is a follow-up from Martha Raddatz to Senator Slotkin from Michigan, Bite 3.
It does imply that the president is having illegal orders, which you have not seen.
I think for us, it was just a statement widely, right? We say very quickly and to all the folks who come to us, this is the process. Go to your JAG officer, ask them for explanation, for top cover, for their view on things. We do that on a case-by-case basis, but we wanted to speak directly to the volumes of people who had come to us on this.
And it is very clear that no one should follow an illegal order, but it's very murky when you look at what is an illegal order. And if you go into morally, ethically, that's a pretty tough thing to look at and say, how do I navigate this?
Look, if you're going back to Nuremberg, right, that, well, they told me to do it, that's why I murdered people, is not an excuse. If you look at popular culture, there's you watch, A Few Good Men, we have plenty of examples since World War II.
Jordan, I want, first of all, she says volumes of people have come to them asking about illegal orders. I don't believe that for a minute. But then she goes into Nuremberg and then A Few Good Men, of which she says is plenty of examples since World War II.
If you look at popular culture.
I know, A Few Good Men is a movie. It's not an example since World War II for these purposes. A Few Good Men
gets put to the side. That is fiction. Okay, so fiction doesn't count. That's not a good enough answer. Second, Nuremberg. Nuremberg focused on leaders within the Nazi death camps and the leaders of the Nazi party, SS members specifically. It was not just regular kind of uniformed troops with the Nazis. These were the worst of the worst who saw the atrocities, and that's where they were tried in this special tribunal. If that's what you can point to in the world, of all the world of military is one, the Nuremberg trial following the Holocaust as a don't use a, well, you were given this instruction, so you were following orders, and that doesn't work as defense. I mean, that's just not accurate. And you know what she goes on to say is what we did on the show. But what they didn't do in their little 30-second ad is they just wanted to make a very broad statement, right? That's what she says, actually. We say very quickly, and for all the folks who come to us, this is the process. Go to your JAG officer. Wait, don't just ignore, because I thought the ad said ignore illegal orders.
Right.
This says go to a JAG officer and make sure you get cover, is what she goes and says, which is the process. You go to a military court officer, and if you really have a concern, and they are the ones to issue a judgment to make sure that you do have cover before questioning an order.
Yeah, and there are moments, you have to say, where the media shines a little brighter. And I have to say, you got to give it up to Raditz for actually not just pushing back, because again, like you said, well, these were softball questions, but for not taking the answer either. To go, but what are you talking about here? And to explain to people that when you say illegal order, that it is murky, and what does that even mean?
Right. And once again, they, as Jordan just pointed out, in that ad, they say our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders. You can refuse illegal orders. You must refuse illegal orders. So there's not a, you should go to your JAG officer and ask them about the legal cover for an order. It is very direct. But I think we should play another member of this team. This is from Maggie Goodlander. She's a member of the House of Representatives from New Hampshire, also the wife of Jake Sullivan, everyone's favorite, Rick Grinnell's favorite. Everybody loves Jake Sullivan.
He'll be on later. We can ask him.
Never had any sort of questions about legal advice that he's given presidents.
And this was him on with Wolf Blitzer.
With Wolf Blitzer. Maggie Goodlander on with Wolf Blitzer, once again asked a very direct question that they should have had the answer to if they were going to film themselves for an ad. Bite 6.
Have you, Congresswoman, or any other of these Democratic members of Congress heard directly from members of the U.S. military or the broader national security community who believe they've been given unlawful orders?
Well, you know, what I'd say is I have heard from service members, and I have heard from service members, and this is all a matter of public record. What we see is an uptick of concern from the men and women who are serving in uniform about the legality of orders that are being given.
I mean, it's like they were given a gotcha question.
Well, here's what I think
and it's the most basic question, and you at least have some people with a little bit of journalistic integrity to ask the question that, I don't know, should be number one on everyone's list when they're going to ask him. And it was, and the response was like they were so shocked that they got asked this question.
Well, they got a camera in their face and they were told by their staff, say this into the camera.
Yeah, and didn't know what they
didn't. They just said it and they moved on. And then they booked all these interviews because of it. And you would have thought, okay, then the staff person's going to walk in and say,
we're going to prep.
You're going to get asked, has he done anything illegal? If you're going to say, no, you need to be able to pivot to, but this is what we're looking for. This is where we're on the line.
I've got one more because, Jordan, they booked all these interviews, and you'd think that their press team, after seeing the first interview go so poorly, would update their talking points. Bite 9, also Maggie Goodlander, on with MS Now,
you gotta say
formerly
that now.
MSNBC.
Yeah, very difficult
Bite 9.
interviews for liberals.
Illegal orders, are you urging troops to refuse, and what do you hope they take away from your message?
Alex, we love this country. We love our Constitution. It is our job as lawmakers, and especially in this moment, to be clear morally, to be clear legally. And simply and clearly stating what the law says, what the Uniform Code of Military Justice says, it's not a crime. It is not treason. It is not sedition. It is our job. And I think it's really important that we do our jobs in this moment.
Yeah, word salad. I mean, again, it feels like something straight from the Kamala Harris campaign. I mean, you don't want to be rude, but it's hard to even watch because these are just words that you are trying to get out of the top of your head. I mean, when you start saying things like simply and clearly, and you have to say clearly multiple times, then clearly you're not saying something clearly.
Logan, what illegal orders are you urging troops to refuse? We just love this country and our Constitution. It's so great.
It's our job.
Just speak the law.
It's our job to be clear. Morally, clear legally, simply and clearly. I mean, that is that end quote. Like, that is what she said.